Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, the #1 place for all things beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. It's your girl, Lady M, and today I am coming at you with a first impression review and an eyeshadow look featuring the new Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 Rose Palette. I recently picked this up during the Sephora haul, and I am so excited to be able to sharing my first impressions review and demo with you guys today. I'm also going to do some comparisons and some swatches. So if you're interested in seeing that, then let's go. So today we are going to be doing my first impressions and review of the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 eyeshadow palette. And this is the Major Dimensions 2 Roses eyeshadow palette. So I'm taking it out of the packaging. Oh my God, I almost dropped it. I gotta tell you, the first one was definitely a favorite of mine. So first off, look at how this lays super flat. So that's pretty good. You know, sometimes you have those palettes that just, you can't open them all the way. So you can lay this one down super flat. And of course, packaging is always on 10 for Patrick Ta. So I need that so I can cover it to show you guys what the eyeshadows look like first of all. So that is the eyeshadow palette. In the corner here, you got 2 cream shadows. On the bottom is all your matte shades, and on the top is all of the shimmer shades. So I love the first one from last year, as I mentioned. This does retail for $6 to $8, and it's available at Sephora and of course on Patrick Ta's website. According to Sephora, this palette is described as a daily wardrobe of roses, of rose-toned neutral shades that will become your daily go-to palette. Now, if you're into these rose shades, then absolutely, for sure, this is definitely going to be a go-to for you. It says for your warm, cool, and neutral tones, this palette has matte shades, you have satin shades, and you had pearlescent shades, along with 2 cream bases that you're supposed to use as a canvas for the other shades to work. First impressions, I do think that I'm gonna love this because I love the first one, which was the bronze palette. So beautiful. I still own it. I still love it. I still reach for it. And I love these rose tone shades, so I already know that I'm going to like it. I do think that we may have some of these shades already, and I can think of a couple palettes that like this kind of reminds me of, like the Huda Naughty palette, Naughty Nice palette, or Naughty palette. I do think when she came out with the small palette, the Obsessions, I think like maybe the medium or the chocolate one, this one could be similar. For Patrick Ta, I do love the formula. It's usually, to me, it's like very luxurious. It's pigmented, it's easy to use. And I think that this palette has something that other palettes don't have, and that is those cream bases. And that is what I am going to use today, just to kind of play with it, to show you guys how they work, and then how easy it is to blend on top, and how those pearlescent shimmers work. So next up, I'm just gonna go ahead and do some swatches, and then we're gonna jump right into an eye look using this palette. So first thing I wanna do is get into the matte shades, and they don't have any names, so I'm just literally gonna start from the end here and just work my way to the lightest. And then I'm gonna do the cream shades last. So this first shade is going to be like the darkest shade in the palette, I think. All right, I'm just setting it down. So darkest shade, then the second, third, fourth, and then fifth. So then we have the second darkest, third darkest, fourth darkest, and then we have the lightest shade in the palette. So that's what the colors look like. And then I'm just going to get into the pearlescent shades. So this time I'm starting from the lightest and I'm going to work my way down to the darkest. So lightest, this is what gives. Ugh, this is it for me. And I kind of messed up on the last one. So look at those pearlescent shades. I'm gonna turn my hand this way so you can get a look on those shades. How gorgeous is that? And I'm just quickly cleaning my hands so that I can get into those two cream shades that are in the palette that I think is just perfect, just as nice colors for the bases. So I have the lightest and then I have the darkest, and I'm just gonna put them right here. And look at that. I wonder if you could use these as lipstick. So this is the lightest and then this is the darkest shade. Okay, and then so for this eye look, I'm gonna go in with the dark cream color, and I am just going to put that down all over my lid, kind of bringing it up into my crease area, like right under my brow bone. That's where I am putting down that cream shade. And I'm just using the jumbo blender from Sonia G. And look how gorgeous this shade is. Gorge, 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 gorge. And I'm gonna let that dry down before I go in with anything else. Look how that pretty. Okay, so now I am gonna go in with the second darkest shade in the palette. And I am, as you can see, I am just focusing this color right in the transition area, right under the brow bone. That's kind of where I am putting the emphasis on this color, and I'm using my Sigma E40 brush. So there we have it. Just really focusing that color right there. Gonna do the same thing on the other eye. So as you already know, whenever you put anything cream down, you always need to go in with powder to set the cream. And that's basically what we're doing with this shade, is just locking in the cream. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of the dark color, and I am mainly putting this in the outer V of my eye and the outer corner area of my eye, just kind of packing that color right there. And that is all I'm gonna do. I already did an eye look and a review on the first palette, so I will be sure to link that in the cards so that you guys can check that out. Just that one color I put in the outer V area, and that is it. Okay, so I decided to go in with the first shade in the shimmer. I kind of already started to put it on my lid, and I'm so glad that I have that cream base down because it's acting as I don't know what you would call it. So I'm not getting a lot of fallout because I have that cream shade now. Look at just how gorgeous that is. And I'm using a brush. So I'm about to go in with my finger, but I'm just trying to really just place this and pack it up in the areas that I need. So pretty. And that's you can see the pearlescence of the shimmer already just by looking at it like that. So now I'm just gonna do my fingers and just kind of see what I get with applying with my fingers. Like, look at that. So pretty. And I didn't swipe. I just like tapped on to the lid. And man, this is so pretty. All right, so I did the other eye, and you guys, I love this pearlescent kind of shimmer shades. Is just so reflective. It looks like just little chunks of like, I don't know, it just looks amazing. So I'm gonna finish off the rest of my face, and then I'll be back to give you my first impressions and my thoughts on this Major Dimensions 2 eyeshadow palette. All right, so I am back. I finished off the face. I added on my lips and blush, bronzer, all of that jazz. I will be sure to list every product that I used today in the description box, so if you're interested in seeing what all I use, then be sure to check out my description box down below. Now, I am not disappointed. I was just hoping that this was gonna be a good palette, just like the other palette was, the first one from Patrick Ta, and this did not disappoint. The colors blended, well, the shadows blended beautifully. And I also, this time, used the cream shadows, the cream base as the base, and then I put the powder and the shimmer on top. And they blended so nicely, and I didn't really have any problems. Like sometimes when you add powder on top of cream, it can get patchy, it can get real just messy, and it didn't. The powders blended so nicely on top of the cream. And of course, I think my favorite product in the palette is the shimmers. The pearlescent shades, they just have so much, I don't know, like little chunks of, it just looks so pearlescent and shimmery and glittery. They don't feel chunky or anything. And I have to say that putting the cream bases down, I had like no fallout going on here under my eyes. So using the base, the cream base, really helped these pearlescent shades just really adhere and minimize fallout, which you do expect when you work with that type of shadows. Then even from the swatches, the shimmers or pearlescent shimmer shades didn't feel chunky, they didn't feel glittery, they were just very smooth, but they're like literally diamond flecks. That's kind of how I would describe them. So pretty. So I do have the 3 palettes here that I think could, you know, if you have these, they may be similar, I don't know. So this is the chocolate brown palette from Huda, and these is the shades. Not like, I think like these two shades in the top can be similar. Maybe this shade here could also be similar, but it's not like the same. And I already like put the palette up because I didn't want anything to happen to it, you know? This is the Natasha Rose palette. Not very similar, but no, not the rose, the retro. And maybe some of the pearlescent shades and like that, but not really. But it did kind of come to mind because I could have done the Huda Rose palette too, because this is a rose palette from Patrick Ta. And then lastly is the Huda Naughty palette. I'm gonna cover it with this. And then these are the shades in here. Not the same, maybe some similarities. So my point was just that if you we already seen these shades before, and I just pulled out like 3 palettes that I felt like could be similar. Obviously not the same color story, not the exact same colors, but amongst all 3 palettes, I feel like there's some similarities to the Patrick Ta palettes. Nonetheless, if you don't own any of the palettes from Patrick Ta, then I would say you need. If you picked up the first one, then unless you particularly love the rose tones, you don't really need it. Or if you don't have any of those other palettes, then I would say you need to get the palette. Honestly, the perfect time to pick the palette up would have been during the sale, because I do feel like $6 to $8 is a lot for, you know, a palette. So if it's around for the fall, then I would say go for it. But I do feel like if you have something, then you're okay. But I'm very impressed. I love the shadows. I love the shimmers. I felt like it performed very nicely, lived up to my expectations. It wasn't powdery, it wasn't patchy or anything like that. So I am very happy with the palette. All right, guys. So that is my complete first impressions and review of the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 Rose palette. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your guys' thoughts on the palette? Did you pick it up? Do you plan on picking it up? Or are you gonna skip it altogether? Let me know down below in the comments. And of course, if you aren't subscribed, then please take the time to subscribe to my channel. And if you are subscribed, then take the time to turn on your notification bells, because you don't want to miss any of my uploads. All right, guys, that's it for today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.